welcome back to Steady Rolling Man presents The Master Nyarlathotep. In this one, Jacob is feeling the effects of being choked by a dark miasmic fog, but still manages to try to negotiate a good price for some interesting artwork. Let's hand over to our Keeper of Secrets.
Okay, so just to recap then where we left off last time around. So you met in the darkest hours of the morning with the dancer Yalisha from the Blue Pyramid Club. She revealed troubling secrets about the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh, a shadowy cult that seems to be using the club as a gathering place. Her fear was palpable. Her voice was trembling as she implored you to stop the Brotherhood's evil machinations. However, your night was far from over, for as you departed the meeting, the oppressive London fog turned malevolent. The thing in the fog emerged, a formless, otherworldly monstrosity that attacked with merciless ferocity. Jacob's sanity crumbled under the weight of the horror, his mind teetering on the brink of madness. Stanton acted swiftly, pulling him from the brink, while Douglas's torchlight proved to be the creature's bane. The thing recoiled from the light and retreated into the mist. The following day, this morning, still haunted by the previous night's terror, you have visited Empire Spices, an exotic shop just round the corner from the club, filled with strange scents and a sense of quiet intrigue. There you met Zara Shafiq, a poised, enigmatic and comely woman with piercing eyes and an air of intelligence. She claimed to oppose the Brotherhood, spoke with a genuine sense of urgency and personal vendetta, and expressed a strong desire to dismantle the cult and see Edward Gavigan, a high-ranking member, brought down. She assured you that she could be an ally and may be able to provide you with information moving forward. And that is where you left. You have now, it's Friday the 13th of February, 1925. You have eaten your lunch. The next appointment that you have is at 4 p.m. with Miles Shipley. Are you going to do anything else before that?
We need to have a conversation about
I don't think
what
we've
we're
got
going to
anything.
do. No, but
Well, we
we
can talk. Yeah, talk about what we're going to do next. Yeah.
getting into the foundation, because that seems to be a primary concern. Getting to that safe.
Yeah, I agree. So, what are we going to go in at night, or it's probably best, is it?
Well, we don't know. Maybe we watch the place, see how many security guards there are. I mean, we can assume that there's a alarm system of some description, but we don't know how many security guards there are overnight. That would be the first thing, because if there's only one security guard who's doing his rounds, then that makes life easier. If there's multiple ones, then that's more people to avoid or to incapacitate. So probably some observation before we do anything, because we can't. There's no point in planning when we don't have any information to plan on. Also wonder whether there's any way we could try and. Do we need a map? Do we need any? We know our way around the place well enough to get in and out?
What, around what, sorry?
The foundation.
The Penhew Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fairly. From your initial observations, there's only the front entrance, and then there is a back entrance as well, which has got there's a yard at the back, and with a back door.
Could Stanton go back in again during the day? I mean, there's perhaps leaving something open. Also, scoping the place out during the day is going to tell us a little bit more about the layout. I agree we should have a look at night as well. But
yeah, you did see the guards in the daytime, didn't you? If you remember.
Yes, I did. When I was there having the tour, I did make a mental note of layout of the rooms that I did see. And
how many guards?
And doors. I'm trying to think if there's 3. So there's definitely one on the door. I think there was one for the exhibition room.
Yeah. You saw 3. Just to remind you, because it's a long time ago, you saw 3 inside. One at the front door, one on in the exhibition room, and then one on the kind of staircase at the top of the exhibition where it enters the exhibition room.
Okay.
But you didn't have any observation or any sight of the backyard or anything like that. So you don't know whether.
No, I didn't see any of that, but I do remember trying to look to see if
Yeah.
there were alarm systems on the windows.
Yeah.
There's-
Which you couldn't see any alarms.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
No, we could do something like try and stage a commotion out the front in the evening after, not too late in the evening, but late enough that there'd still be people on the street and, I don't know, cause a car accident or something, which might draw the attention of the security guards. I don't know.
We need to find out whether there are 3 during the night, don't we? I mean, 3 during the day is. There may be more during the day when there's people around the building. In terms of
Just a night watchman.
people who can.
That
Yeah.
would be ideal.
Not quite sure how we do that, however, other than by having to peer through the window, which wouldn't be good if we got caught.
Yeah, just trying to stake out the place and watching how many people go in during the day.
Well,
And
look, we asked
see who
Sarah.
comes out.
She might know.
Yeah. Especially when they close up, because presumably,
Well, watch and see who leaves.
Yeah, daytime guards leave, and towards the
true.
end of the day, nighttime guard or guards go in.
Yeah.
Do they go in the front door or do they go in the back door? We'd have to watch both.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's something for us to do when it closes. What time's our appointment today?
4.
4. It's
I
unfortunate.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm assuming that the foundation closes at about 5-ish. Should leave it a bit tight unless we split. You two
Well,
of us.
the foundation it closes to the public at 5. But
I'm so close to Stanton.
well, that's it closes to yeah. But Stanton knows that kind of pursuits that go on in an establishment such as that would mean that a lot of the kind of historians, researchers, professors would quite habitually stay after it was closed to doing their researches.
I mean, that might be the time to go in because it's still open. But I don't know. Why don't we watch it? Do two of us watch from like 5 till 10 or whatever time they lock up the foundation front and back, and the other two go and visit the artist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or on a scale of 1 to don't split the party.
Wonder if it's a bit intimidating for the artist to have all 4 of us go.
Well, that was my thinking as well.
Anyway.
So yeah. All right. So who wants to? I'll do the Penhue Foundation. And who else? I
need to see the artist, really, don't I?
Yeah, I would suggest that maybe Stanton goes with you, Jacob, on the basis that Lex
Less intimidating.
is quite intimidating and possibly not the kind of person that might have an interest in art. Not to be disparaging to your.
Yes, there is.
Yep. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
if we start discussing cult-related issues, although as we know, these are outside the usual bounds.
Yeah, you two look much more likely to have a natural interest in the esoteric rather than Lex, or indeed myself.
Yeah.
Right, okay, well, we shall do that then.
So you're going to do that from what, 5 till 10?
5 till whenever we think everybody's left. So I'll just make a note of everybody who comes and goes.
So should we meet you back at the hotel after that?
Meet back at the hotel, and if we're not back by 11, we will come looking for you at the artist's house, and you come looking for us at the foundation.
Okay, are you both staying together? And
No,
watching the front?
we'll probably have to split to watch the front and back. We're not doing anything. Just going to watch.
Okay.
Not planning on doing anything.
No.
So we meet back at the hotel, but if someone doesn't show, the others go looking. Yeah.
Yeah, by 11.
Okay.
I'm just so that if someone's watching the back and then you get spotted, if there are 2 of you, more chance to get away, more chance to defend
Yeah, but if
yourselves.
but we need someone at the front, someone at the back. Otherwise, we're not seeing everyone who's coming and going.
That's correct, not at the same time, but we could do this over a number of days. Sort of watch the habits of people going in and out the front door, and then watch the habits of people going in and out the back.
I would be amazed if somebody tried to come out and kidnap us off the street for watching the foundation.
I mean, at the end of the day, this used to be your home. You know what you're doing. You know London town, and I am me.
Massive, and you're massive. Yeah,
we're going to be okay.
I wouldn't be overly concerned. I would be more concerned about you two going into an quite obviously insane person's house and having a chat with him. So I think we've got the slightly less concerning task.
Yeah.
I'm literally going to be either sitting in a coffee shop or a pub or walking up and down the street for a few hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the position of the the Penhue Foundation, it's not a very difficult task to watch it and be inconspicuous because there's so much traffic and people going around. That like you said, it's
Fairly straightforward.
absolutely. It's not like it's just in the middle of nowhere with nobody, where you can look conspicuous.
It's not the Juju house.
No, exactly. Okay, so initially then, Stanton and Jacob are going to go to Miles's house, Miles Shipley's house, and you two, where are you going? Just hanging around where you are at the moment, just waiting for 5 o'clock to come around.
4 o'clock.
No,
Right.
the other two were going. So
Yeah.
they wanted to watch from
Yes,
5
yes.
to 10, didn't they? Okay, cool. Right, so as the hour of 4 approaches, obviously, well, you got to get across to Chelsea, Jacob and Stanton. So you start making your journey. The lights are already beginning to fade, and as you approach Holstein Mews, where Shipley's house is, you can see that, like the first kind of wisps of the evening fog have started to rise from the Thames and are spreading across London already as darkness approaches.
I'll just stop for a minute, take my torch out of my bag, my coat, check it's working.
Can we
For the fifth,
can we
for
get
the
a
fifth time?
can we get a handsome cab? I'd rather be inside.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you started walking, but then you just hail a cab and you take the rest of the journey by cab, which doesn't take very long until you arrive. Okay, so you're now standing outside Shipley's house, which you obviously are fairly familiar with, having watched it for some period of time previously.
Jacob, do you have your pistol with you?
I do.
I have mine buried in my coat.
I haven't been in the habit of taking it recently, but after last night.
Okay, so yeah, you stand in front. You're standing in front of Holstein Mews. You can see the house, the kind of shabby-looking property that is Shipley's. What you can do is head up through the advancing gloom towards the door.
And
Yeah.
I'll knock on the door.
Okay, you can already see that
Oh.
there's a lot in the downstairs window. Even though there's shutters, you can still see like a little bit a crack, and in the gloom you can see like a small glimmer of light through the cracks. So there's evidence of a habitation which there wasn't here previously when you came. Okay, you knock on the door. Okay, you hear a kind of some shuffling footsteps the other side of the door, and then you hear some locks being thrown back, bolts being thrown back, and the door opens, and you see a very short, white-haired lady, maybe in her 70s, with a soft, kindly-looking face. She's carrying a knitting basket, and she says, "Oh, hello there. You must be the ones that have come to see Miles's paintings, yes?"
We have an appointment at 4.
She kind of shuffles back. Come in. She steps aside, kind of gestures for you to enter. She's got smiling broadly. He's been so busy lately, but I'm sure he'll be delighted to meet you. I am Bertha, his mother. Welcome to our home. Please go through to the sitting room.
Pleasure to meet you, Bertha. I'm Jacob Lockhart. This is my colleague Stanton Fitzwarren. I'll step in quickly out of the fog.
It's a pleasure to meet both of you. You notice as soon as you go into the house, the first thing that you notice is how hot it is. It's absolutely roasting. You can see that as you go into the sitting room, there's a roaring fire, but there's also several heaters in there as well. Gas and the house itself is like a greenhouse. But shortly after that, and noticing that, there's also a very strong, cloying, unpleasant kind of body odor smell as well that exudes. That seems to be that hangs in the house. It's just quite a stale, unpleasant smell.
How is the house kept? Is it sort of kept well, or?
It's yeah, I mean it's you're showing through to the sitting room downstairs. Yeah, I mean it's the furnishings are quite old. The carpet, it's not a fitted carpet. It's just like a big rug in the centre, which is a little bit threadbare. The furnishings are basic, and they've probably seen better days. But it's not a tip or anything. It's fairly well kept. Maybe just a little bit shabby. He says, "Would you like some tea while she's waiting?"
That would be most pleasant. Thank you.
Good. She shuffles through to the kitchen. You hear some noises of her water. You kind of sit looking around.
What's with the heat, Stanton?
There's nothing. You're glancing around and you see everything that you kind of expect to see in an old lady's house. Really, it feels like it probably is her house. She comes back through. She says, "Sorry if it's a bit hot in here for you, but I feel the cold. It's my old bones."
Well, this is the wrong time of year. It's a little bit warmer here than New York, though, I have to say, but I can understand that.
Well, I didn't want to ask and be rude, but that I noticed from your accent that you're not local. Is that where you're from? New York, is it?
New England, but yes, we've come from New York most recently.
And how did you come to know about Miles's paintings?
Well, I'm in the art business, and I heard from some art dealers here. I was most interested in the work. He seems to be surfing a wave at the moment in terms of interest in his work. Do you think?
Well, we've had all sorts come through here: scholars, artists, all sorts of. Even a few called themselves, well, what was it now? Occultists, I think.
Oh, occultists. Well, I can see why the work might spark some interest from their likes.
Well, it's funny the types
Of
that find their way to us. Yes. Did I offer you some tea?
Yes, it would be lovely. Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't remember whether I'd asked or not. Yes. Miles will be down shortly. She says. She folds her hand across her lap as she sits down on a chair next to you. He's just finishing up with Mr. Blackwood, a writer. Always so curious, asking such interesting questions. But I'm sure you'll find the paintings just as fascinating. Yeah.
I'm most interested in Mr. Shipley's influences. The subject matter is so unusual. Do you know what influenced him to that particular style?
Did I ask if you wanted tea?
You did.
Yes,
that'd be
great.
lovely. Thank you.
Okay, she stands up and walks back into the kitchen.
Wonder who Mr. Blackwood is.
I was trying to remember if we'd heard that name before.
It doesn't ring any bells with me.
You want to make an occult roll?
Good. Here we go. 4 again.
You got 4 again.
So
Okay.
that is.
I've had a hard success as well, but I expect yours is probably extreme, isn't it?
It is indeed extreme.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're both aware of the name. Well, you know of the gentleman by the name of Algernon Blackwood, who is a famous occultist, previous member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and associate of Aleister Crowley. Also, writer of The Willows and The Wendigo, both famous novels.
Yeah.
Feel free to Google him to your heart's content with those roles.
Illustrious
Is that-
occultist company.
Your role was so good, you invented the internet. Adam.
Wendigo, that's an Australian creature, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a North American Indian.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so Bertha, she comes back through with this time she has a tray of tea. She places it down on the table and pours it for you. I hand you each a cup of tea in a lovely chipped but china cup.
So, Bertha, what do you think of Miles's work?
Oh, Miles was always gifted, even as a child. Always drawing, painting. He's got such an imagination, but the world's been hard. The world's been hard on him, Artists suffer for their craft, don't they?
They do, as Has Miles suffered?
He doesn't eat properly, he doesn't sleep properly. I keep nagging him, but he doesn't listen. There's not much to him these days, but he's making a fair living from it, so I can't really complain. You know what mothers are like, always worrying.
I can understand if he's not eating or sleeping well. It's always a worry. Does he see many occultists?
He sees all sorts. It's all sorts of different weird people. Some nice men, most of them nice really, but he's a quiet lad. Doesn't really want too much attention. The galleries, you see, they're all over him. Press don't really want any of that sort of thing. Just wants to live a quiet life and just wants people to say he's good at what he does, you know?
Well, he certainly is good at what he does from the work I've seen. What do you think of his most recent works?
Well, some of them are a bit, well, you know, kind of rolls their eyes. They're not really my cup of tea, she says, if you know what I mean.
There seems to be a departure from his previous style. What caused that?
I couldn't say, really. You'll have to ask him those type of questions. I don't think he was making a lot of money from his previous works. He had a bit of a rogue as an agent, you see. Diddled him out of most of the money.
Oh,
That was before he met this nice Mr. Cotting. Set him on the right track, he did.
Mr. Cotting, is he an agent?
No, it was just someone he met down the pub one night.
How fortunate to have someone like that take him under his wing.
Yeah, he did do exactly that, and Miles hasn't looked back since. Although I have said to him that he's maybe a little bit too, how would you say, all work and no play. I'd like him to have more friends, really. He doesn't go out that often. Spends most of the time cooped up in that attic upstairs.
Is that where he paints?
Yes. Okay, you hear some noise, some footsteps upstairs, and some talking, and the footsteps come down the stairs, and before you're kind of even able to, before you get up or where you kind of glance, you see a man dressed in a black suit with a black top hat and a painting-shaped bundle under his arm. He comes down the stairs, kind of tips his hat to Bertha as he goes past, and then he disappears out into the street.
That presumably was Blackwood, was it?
Bertha says, Miles, that gentleman is here, that you have an appointment with him. I don't know whether they want any tea, but shall I send them up? You see, you kind of, she takes you out into the hallway, and you see Shipley standing at the top of the stairs, well, about halfway down the stairs. Moves down slowly, and
Mr. Shipley.
Steps kind of creak as he walks down. He's an extremely lean man. His frame, you would say, actually almost fragile. He has a very sallow complexion, which would tally with his mother's assertions that he never ventures outside, or very rarely does. His face is pale and thin. He has sharp cheekbones and a jawline that seems too angular, as if time. He looks as if he has the weight of the world on his shoulders. His expression is a picture of worry and also weariness. His dark hair is messy, unkempt. I'll just show you what I was to say. Oops. Okay, on roll 20 with Mr. Shipley.
See what you mean.
Doesn't look like the epitome of health, does he?
No.
Okay, he wears a paint-stained smock with smudges of colour on the sleeves and down the front. Visitors. Here to see the paintings, are you?
Well, and to see you, if we could, Mr. Shipley. We're most interested in your work.
I'm pleased to hear that. Please.
Where should we talk? Should we go to your studio, or where would you like?
Mother told me you'd be coming, but Mr. Blackwood was rather overstayed his appointment. I hope you don't mind. Whilst I prepare the studio, and some things are better seen in the right light. I will only be a few minutes,
Mr. Shipley. We'll wait here. Thank you.
Okay. Bertha comes out to you and says, "Would you like any tea?"
No more, thank you, Bertha.
Mr. Miles will be down in a second, I'm sure.
Thank you. We'll make ourselves comfortable here. Thank you, Bertha.
Okay, you don't have to wait for much longer in the hallway before Miles comes back to the head of the stairs this week. Please, if you'd like to come up.
We'll head up toward the studio.
Okay, you go up. You go up the first flight of stairs, and you find yourself on the landing on the second floor. You can see various doors around the hallway, around the landing, which you presume lead into bedrooms. The stairs also carry on up, and Miles continues up to what you presume is the attic. Okay.
Is it as hot up here, or
as you begin to ascend the final set of stairs up towards the attic, then the temperature is noticeably less up here. The rest of the house is roasting, but and actually as you get to the as he oddly he's in front of you, but he's even though he's only just come down to get you, he's actually locked the door to the attic, and he gets a key out of his pocket and unlocks it. When he opens the door to the studio in the attic, a kind of a pleasant breeze of cool air escapes it, and it is a lot cooler up here. Okay, there are dangling kerosene lamps that light this bare room with sloping ceilings. And straight away you notice that beneath the skylight is painted black, and directly below the skylight is an easel. The canvas on it bears a few pencil sketches which appear to be the beginnings of a new work. A table to the left holds brushes, paints and palettes, whilst against the walls lean various paintings. They're all covered, just with like sheets over them. Tucked in a corner is a closet, and its door locked by a heavy padlock. There's something, both of you feel it immediately as you enter though, that there's something horribly suffocating about this place. Even though the air is cool, there's like an oppressive sense of something unnatural that hangs in the air. You're not sure what it is, but you both feel the same, and your hairs stand up on end. It's just something it's just a real kind of low level unnerving feeling. The easel depicts something half formed, the sketches like swirling shapes, but again, even that picture, even the initial construction of that picture, as you look at it, it's almost like the shapes begin to swirl before your eyes. You're not sure whether you imagine that or not, but it's almost like it's painful to look at it for too long. So you avert your eyes.
I'll look out the corner of my eye at Stanton, see if he's experiencing the same.
Yeah, I'll look away and rub my eyes.
Yeah, you're both looking a little bit kind of uneasy and also pale, and yeah, it's pretty obvious to the both of you that you're feeling the same. You glance at each other. Shipley seems pretty oblivious to it, to your discomfort. So, yes, well, I can show you all of my paintings, but I hope that Mother explained to you previously that they're not cheap.
No, we're well aware of that, but I don't know if your mother explained, but I'm an art dealer back in New York. I'm looking to see whether there may be a market for this kind of work in New York. I think there probably will be, and as I'm sure you're aware, there's an awful lot of new money out there, so I'm not sure that will be too much of a problem, Mr. Shipley. But of course, we would like to see the work and to understand your influences so that I can spark some interest amongst my clientele.
Of course, yes, of course. I will. Just be warned. My pictures can affect those of a less strong constitution.
Well, we're keen to see it, but perhaps before we do, I'm really intrigued. I'm assuming this is your latest work, and I'll indicate the easel. Perhaps you could tell me about this.
I don't talk about my paintings until they're finished.
Very well. Perhaps we could see some of the finished work then, Mr. Shipley.
Yes. He walks over to the where all the paintings are on the wall, and well, they're not actually fixed to the wall. They're just leaning against the wall. And he starts to take the sheets off them. Please feel free to examine them as closely as you'd like, but please, at this stage, if I can ask you not to touch them.
Of course.
You're going to wander over and have a look?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. The first painting that you look at, there is an alchemist's laboratory in which vials pour forth foul-looking gas. Working at a table is a reptilian humanoid who seems eagerly involved in the dissection of a creature Due to the blood and lack of recognisable features, it's impossible to determine the identity of the creature being cut apart. I call that one ancient science. This is one of my earlier paintings.
Perhaps you could tell me a
in my
little
new
about.
style.
Perhaps you could tell me a little about what influenced it. It's a fascinating picture, and I'll look more closely, but without touching.
Mm.
And might I say, the brushwork is immaculate.
That's very kind of you to say so. All of my influences are the same. I see visions in my sleep. I have no control. I am but a conduit. I do not know where the visions come from, but they are sent to me, and it is my sole duty just to put them onto the canvas. You see, as he's talking, you suddenly realise that Bertha is standing in the doorway,
Mm.
and he Shipley looks over. Can you both make psychology rolls, please?
This is when I do need a.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's an hard success.
Oh no, fail for me.
Did you get a hard success? Did you say?
Yeah,
Okay,
my meager skill.
very impressive. Isn't it? I was just checking that you didn't need anything. Maybe some more tea or cake or anything. Miles, you haven't had anything to eat today. We are all fine. Whether I do not know. I do not feel the gentleman will be here for that much longer. Thank you. We will call you if we need anything.
Yes, thank you for the offer, but no, we're fine, thank you.
He smiles with her warm smile, and you hear the steps creaking as she descends slowly. And I'm just checking something. Don't know why dice keep rolling. Okay, can you both roll percentile dice, please, and tell me what you get?
And-
I know that you got 4, Adam, because that's obviously what you always get.
No, that was Jacob. Got 4.
Yeah, no, I got 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, well
10
done.
for me though.
What did you get?
10%.
So I didn't hear that.
10. 1-0.
1-0. Okay. Is that super. Right? So you're going to look at the second painting, yeah?
yeah.
The second painting shows a processional scene which looks to be from ancient Egypt, in which a golden chariot passes through a mass of people who have fallen to their knees in reverence. Atop the chariot is a pharaoh dressed in black and gold robes, whose face is turned away from the viewer. Behind the figure, 2 men have been impaled on stakes, eviscerated, their internal organs hang down to the ground and are being eaten by a pack of jackals. Call that one the Dark Pharaoh. The third painting is nighttime in a woodland scene. A yellow moon casts sickly rays through dark branches upon a group of naked men and women who cavort around a bonfire. Rising from the flames is the image of a goat-headed man whose outstretched arms seem to be conducting the crazed antics of the witches. The next one is suddenly draws. You both look at it together and then almost do a double take. You see a towering mountain, possibly in Africa, over which rises a monstrous, demonic creature, its head a great tentacle swathed in blood. Near a temple-like building, tiny human figures lift their heads imploringly skyward, in supplication to the hellish godlike entity. From each of the humans' heads, a red tongue or tentacle dangles. Looking closely, these appear to be ceremonial headpieces.
Are these similar to the what we saw in New York with the cultists?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is one of my favourite pieces, the Black Mountain. I'm afraid that one is quite expensive. Okay, and the final picture that he has on display currently depicts a dark stone obelisk lit by braziers and torches under a moonless night sky. The monument, encircled by trees, is covered with Egyptian hieroglyphs and has what can only be assumed to be sacrificial victims chained to it. 4 in total, naked and cowering in terror. All around the monument, robed cultists dance and cavort. One of the cultists seemingly leads the rite, dressed in priestly garb and carrying twin scepters, topped with an inverted ankh and a crook. Her hood is thrown back, revealing a raven-haired Egyptian woman with enchanting green eyes, reminiscent of Cleopatra in her best beauty. Beyond the clearing, something terrible and malevolent lurks in the darkness, only hinted at but undoubtedly present, which makes the painting extremely disturbing to behold. Firstly, viewing all these paintings, in addition to the horrible atmosphere in the in the room that you're in, plus all of the things that you already know, in terms of these things might not actually be just fantasy. It's quite a disturbing experience for you. So can I ask you to make a sanity roll, please, both of you?
I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
Yeah. 33.
Okay,
Pass.
33. So you both passed, did you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. Despite that, you're still affected by all experience. So Stanton, you lose 3 sanity points, and Jacob 2. You both of you are kind of reeling, and you kind of actually let out kind of almost like a cry under your breath before you regain your composure. I did say that my paintings have an effect on people, did I not? Hopefully you're feeling okay.
I think we are, Mr. Shipley, but they've certainly moved us, I think.
It is the realism that I managed to capture that shocks a lot of people. Anyway,
I'm intrigued by your influences, Mr. Shipley, and the Dark Pharaoh. I can see obvious Egyptian influences, and the Black Mountain looks African. You tell us more about these visions and your influences.
no.
Well, Mr. Shipley, if I'm to generate a market for you, and it could be a very lucrative market, then I need to tell those who might buy your pictures a little. They will always be interested in the art, the influences on the artist, and what the artist is trying to achieve.
Well, I can't tell you the influences. I've already told you they just come to me in dreams. And anyway, I don't need a market to generating. I already have a market. So, do you wish to buy one or not? I'm sorry, but I'm tired. I don't wish to appear rude, but I'm not very good in social situations. You like my paintings? I'm glad. Which one would you like to buy?
Well, perhaps we could think on that. If you're weary of us, is there someone else we could perhaps deal with? Mr. Cotting, for example.
Mr. Cotting? No, I do not see Mr. Cotting anymore. Mr. Cotting is. How do you know about Mr. Cotting anyway?
Well, your mother mentioned him.
He's a friend, yes, but he does not deal with my business dealings. Look, I'm sorry to be uncouth, but you either wish to buy my paintings or you do not. This is not a social event.
Yes. Would you be able to write down the prices of each one on a piece of paper for us? Know the titles of the first two. This nighttime woodland scene. Could you tell me what this one is called?
The Herald, that is called.
The Herald.
I'd be wanting 150 for that one.
Pounds or guineas?
Pounds.
And the this mountain in Africa, was that called the Black Mountain?
Yes, that one is my best work. 250 for that one. There's no negotiation on the price, by the way. I find that all very tiresome.
Yes, and perhaps the others. Prices for those.
The Goatwood 100, and the Dark Pharaoh 125, and the same for the Ancient Science.
Thank you.
So which one would you like?
I think we will we'll come back to it. Maybe that once I've made some contact with those back in the States, I can come back to you with some purchases.
So be it. But let me warn you, they might not be here when you return, but the people are buying my works quite quickly.
I'm sure they would have an answer for you within a day or two.
Out of interest, Mr. Shipley, who tends to buy your works?
Well, all sorts, really. Art, those that appreciate good art, as you can understand, those with more open minds. I've sold to many members of the Bloomsbury set, to other famous literary and artists, and even the likes of Mr. Crowley and Mr. Blackwood, as you already mentioned. Those that like to see the boundaries pushed and understand that art is not just a stationary concept. There are those that understand that my talent is a singular one. I do not know where it comes from. I cannot answer your questions about influences. All I know is that it comes to me, and I have been given a gift, and those that appreciate my gift are willing to part with the sums of money of which we have spoken. So yes, if you do not wish to purchase them now, so be it. But as I said, they may not be here when you come back.
Very well, Mr. Shipley. I think we've outstayed our welcome. So, but we are most grateful for you exhibiting your work for us. And as I say, I'll be making some inquiries across the pond, and I do hope I can come back to you swiftly.
Well, I will show you out.
Thank you.
He trudges to the door with his shoulders like slumped. It's almost it's as much as he can actually. It feels like it's as much as he can do to actually drag himself down the stairs. As you go down the stairs, you see that Bertha is actually now on the second floor, just coming out of the bedroom. Everything all right? Is it?
It's fine, thank you, Mrs. Shipley. We're on our way. It's been most interesting.
He shows you down. You're back in obviously the kind of full heat of the main house now, and the smell. Okay, and you're shown to the bottom of the stairs. His mum comes down. Bertha comes down as well, and presently you're back outside, kind of bundled out. Really, there wasn't much of a polite goodbye. You're now outside in the well, it's dark now, in the dark London fog, and it's only about it's just coming up to about 10 to 5 now. And actually, no, it'll be a bit later than that because you're hanging around quite a lot, so it's about 5:30. Can you both make spot hidden rolls, please?
No.
96 and 99.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Right, okay. Okay, so you're outside. The door's closed behind you. You're out in the cold, foggy, dark streets of London. What are you going to do?
I don't want to be walking. I'm going to get my flashlight out. I don't want to be walking in this, Stanton. Can we get a cab?
Yes, I totally understand. And right, let's walk to the main road.
Okay.
Does that involve walking through the fog?
Yeah, the fog is like everywhere, pretty much as you come out of there.
I'm going to stay as close as I can to the walls of the houses and the light from porches and things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have my torch out too.
Okay, you kind of see Stanton. Yeah, you see that whether it's conscious or not, but Jacob has this kind of really weird staccato walk that he's doing. He's pausing, like standing really still, not moving at all, then moving a little bit further, stopping again, and like it's a bit odd to behold. It's obviously you can see that it's obviously been effect from the previous night, but he seems quite uncomfortable moving through the fog. Anyway, eventually you get to the main road where there are plenty of cabs you can jump into. Things feel better inside as the cab takes you back to Brown's Hotel.
Yes, certainly an eventful visit. We'll have to discuss what we found with the others later.
Okay. Right. Meanwhile, at the Pendew Foundation. So, am I right in saying that one of you was going to be watching the front and one of you is going to be watching the rear? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's going to be doing what?
I would suggest I watch the front and Lex watches the back because I'm more inconspicuous than Lex.
Works for me.
We should arrange a point when we meet each other. We shouldn't be going off following people either. So we're just here to watch, so we don't go off on our own.
Come back round to the front and catch up with you at 8.
Yeah. And then depending on that, well, then we can either swap round or leave or keep going until it's completely shut.
Yep. Okay.
12 seconds. Need to find something. Okay. Lex, you've been in position. So you're watching the back, which is like the gate to the yard. Is that what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you've been in position about the yard. There's a high wall that goes all the way around the Pendew Foundation, so obviously it goes around the back as well. So the yard itself is obscured by the high wall, but there's obviously a double gate, which is a sliding gate. So are you going to try and get yourself into a position where you can see through the gates?
If that's possible.
Okay. Yeah, you can be across the other side of the road. There's still quite a lot of traffic and shops and stuff. But obviously, it's getting quite the lights. You're losing the light and obviously gaining the fog as well. Okay, you can't. You get in a position at the back of the building where you're kind of watching the gates. You can't see a huge amount of detail of what's beyond the gates in the backyard. You can just see some shapes of maybe some crates or like pallets or various bits and pieces you'd expect to be in a yard, but not enough detail because of the lack of light. I mean, you can obviously walk past the gate once or a couple of times if you want to, just to see if you can get a better look. Rather than, I presume you don't want to just be standing outside the back gate.
Yeah, I will take a tour past and have a peep. But
Okay.
mostly, I'm interested in comings and goings.
Yeah,
if anyone
understood,
does come. So.
Okay. So yeah, you do have a look in the yard, but you can't see anything incriminating or unusual in the backyard. Occasionally, the back door opens, and you do see what looks to be some sort of security guard, actually coming out into the yard and having a look around. But that happens maybe once every kind of half an hour or so.
Okay, I was going to say I glance at my watch, but okay.
Yeah. So you're on the other side of the road when suddenly a truck turns into the street and pulls up outside the back gates. Somebody jumps out and slides the gates open. You can see.
Just glance at my watch and see what time this is.
Yeah, this is about just before 6. Okay.
Just before 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can see quite clearly because obviously lights on the other side and on the wall. You can see the name. It looks to be a dark coloured truck, and the name Ferris and Sons written on the side. Ferris and Sons. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Just a name, or does it give any clue like what business they're in?
No, it doesn't say anything else. There's no pictures or anything. It literally just says Ferris and Sons.
Okay.
Okay. It pulls. So one of them gets out and slides open the gates, and the truck drives in, and then you can see about half a dozen men get out of the truck. From your position, you can see some of them are potentially English, others maybe Arabs by their headwear. They get out of the truck and they they loiter in the backyard. A couple of them just chatting, smoking. Eventually, after about maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe a bit longer than that, the back door opens and there look 2 men carrying a really heavy, large crate, which has been brought to the rear door, and the men haul it off. So between the 6 of them, they carry it towards the truck, open the back doors, and then. So the crate, in terms of how big it is, it's probably about 5-6 foot long and about 2.5-3 foot wide. It's a fair old size, and you can tell by the way that they're straining that it's obviously pretty heavy as well.
Yeah.
So they eventually put it into they load it into the back of the truck with a few more bits and pieces as well that are brought to the back door as well. A few more smaller crates that are loaded in quite quickly. And then the back door's closed, the loading's finished, put the back door of the truck's pulled down, and the men all get back into the truck. The truck reverses out onto the road. You can see the people in quite close now because you're standing across the road, and the two of the guys in the front seat are definitely of Egyptian stock.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the guys hops out and closes the gate, and the truck pulls off. Not long after the truck exits the road, maybe another 5 minutes or so. Are you going to do anything at that time, or are you just going to stay where you are?
So,
the back door opens again, and the guard comes out, and you see him walk up to the gate, and he locks it, puts a big chain around it, and padlocks it, and everything goes quiet.
Okay, glance at my watch again. Just
Okay.
make a note of a mental note of what sort of time that is now.
Okay. So yeah, by the time it's about 7:15 now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Right. Okay. So from your front position, Blake, Douglas, even for you, Blake.
I prefer Blake. That's more official.
So you're as obviously the foundation closes at 5, so you see quite a big exit of anybody that's been in the building for the day. So there's maybe about 12-14 people will come out pretty much the same time. Okay, and then between 5 and 6:30, there is then a kind of a steady dribble of people exiting the building. Every time somebody exits, they're let out by the guard. The doors are obviously locked at 5, and they have to be let out after that. That dribble is more or less finished by 6:30, and then coming up towards 7, another couple exit. You don't recognise any of these. They look like the kind of scholarly professor historian types, but from 7 o'clock, that everything is quiet. You can see that it looks like most of the lights are off in the building, but you can still see every now and again on the upper floor where the gallery would be. You can see the shadow of a guard walking past the window, and you can see the guard in the at the front of the building as well in the reception.
So there's at least 2,
Yeah.
and I didn't see the other one leave, so I can assume that all 3 are still in there.
What time did you say you were going to stay till?
Well, I'm staying there until 8, at which point Lex is going to come, but I'm going to continue to watch.
Okay, so Lex is going to come and join you at 8. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just for an initial pass, and we can
Okay.
decide what we're going to do at that point.
Okay, so Lex, are you at that point then? Are you still going to be standing outside, or are you going to be in like a coffee shop or trying to find someone to be inside?
Yeah, I'm gonna move my position.
Okay.
I'll watch from a coffee shop. If the street is starting to clear out, I'll either find a cafe or something to watch from, or a side street that I can see from.
Okay.
But around 8ish, I'll come back out into the open so that Lex can see me.
You make a luck roll, please.
Oh, I feel lucky. I am lucky.
Okay, you passed, did you?
I did.
Okay, you've managed to find just not just across the street. You managed to find it's a kind of service road. It's a cross between a road and an alleyway, but that runs behind some shops. And you come back out at 8, and you kind of you're not hiding, but you're standing in that like behind some some kind of dumpsters, bin skip type things to keep yourself, because you are more or less directly opposite the Penny Foundation now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just waiting for Lex to come up the street, and actually you see, when you see, even though there's not been any movement for a fair while, suddenly you're aware of somebody coming down the steps of the foundation, and you glance across from your location, and you see the unmistakable figure of Edward Gavigan leaving on his own.
Okay.
Fortunately, from the location that you've found, he isn't able to see you.
Pretty good.
And he disappears around the street, heading towards Mayfair. When literally like a few seconds later, you see Lex walking up the street towards you.
Right. I'll step out, catch his attention, then draw him into where I've been standing, so off the road. So, what did you see? Well, it's just exchange what we.
Yeah. Say what you saw. Okay.
Yeah. Say what you see. So that's the same lorry company that has been used to collect the people from the club, isn't it? So that matches with what Zara said.
Yeah, and the crate 6 foot by 2, maybe 3
What, coffin size?
ish.
Yeah, pretty much.
How deep was it? Was it about 2 foot square and 6 foot long?
Yeah, it wasn't a coffin, but it would be.
Oh, no, it wasn't a coffin, but
that
it was
kind of
a
dimension.
shipping crate.
Yeah.
A crate that would fit a body. Although if you're going to do that, I'd put the body in something a little less obvious.
Yeah, don't forget. I mean, just to reiterate what it was like, you did notice how heavy it was as well.
Well, I was going to suggest that it might be a sarcophagus or some kind of a stone. It could be a statue.
Yeah, it could be a statue. It could be something from
the collection.
Yeah,
and it may have
antiquity.
and a cultist significance, or they're just smuggling things.
Lex, just to give you the last bit of information, when you left your post, okay, you were aware of the fact that there is actually a guard posted in the yard now.
So they're locked up with a heavy chain and then guarded permanently.
There's a guard outside, yeah, rather than being inside now. So you used just the one guard in the backyard, but he was definitely guarding, wandering about. Yeah.
He's outside, but he's within the confines of their property. He's not.
He's
Okay.
he's in the yard basically. He's locked the
He's in-
gate and then he's wandering the yard now.
That's not. I really am interested to know if they're going to come back today, but
I would
don't know
suspect
if- I don't
not.
know
It
if it's
sounds like
wise
looks
to-
like they're transporting things out rather than bringing stuff in, and the lorry's probably kept elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be useful to. We know that we were going to try and follow the lorry when it leaves the club, every new moon. But if they're using it for other things in the meantime, following it and finding out what they're using it for would be valuable.
Yeah.
Because they've taken that somewhere. So whatever that is, let's assume it's a statue. Let's say it's a statue.
Yeah.
They're taking it somewhere for some dubious reason. So that's something we can follow up. There's 3 guards in the foundation.
They're in the foundation. Okay. And there was one that toured around the back until 8ish, in which case it was permanent. So as it's starting to get dark enough for us to cover, there's someone out there.
Yeah, there's no way. Well, we can't sneak past that. We're not good enough to be able to sneak past 4 security guards, and
I couldn't sneak past one security guard.
You stand in the way, and then
Yeah.
we'll sneak past whilst you're obscuring their view.
Yeah.
But then equally, I don't think using your pugilistic skills would be advisable either, because I don't like the idea of unnecessarily hurting a completely innocent security guard to further our objectives.
No, we're just doing that job.
Exactly. So I don't know how we distract them. I don't know how we get in. Oh, I have a suggestion. They're just doing their job. Maybe we pay one off with a ridiculous sum of money. We have a ridiculous sum of money. How much do you think they earn? If we offer the one who's in the back to turn a blind eye while we go in
That could
for
work.
£100.
That could work. There is another thing that I considered, but it's a little bit out there. Could pay someone who is more skilled at doing this
For us.
to do it for us. Yes.
Well, there is that. But they wouldn't know what they're looking for.
No. Well, no, they don't need
That's
to know.
probably a good thing.
Bring us everything that's in the safe. You don't need to know any more than that.
That's true.
Just empty it. Well, something to consider. Should we knock this on the head and head back to the hotel?
Well,
Or
let's
look some more.
Let's wait. We said we'd wait until 10 and then head.
Okay.
Let's do that. You return back and see. Let's see if anything changes.
I'll see my drink away and then I'll head back out there.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna head back. Okay.
Yep. Another couple of hours.
Okay. The night is cold and the fog is thick. You can't help but be a little unnerved after your experiences the previous night, and frustratingly, nothing else seems to happen. The Penhue Foundation stands silent. Nobody comes in and goes out of it.
Is that guard still walking around patrolling the yard?
Upstairs.
No, the yard.
Yeah, the guard's in the yard still. He does. You notice that he does go in from time to time, Lex, but primarily he's outside.
Okay. Maybe getting a cup of tea. Everyone in England seems to get tea apparently. So
Yeah, there's just no change. There's no more traffic in and out. The place is obviously empty other than the security guards.
Okay, so we've got the guard in the back. We've got a guard on the entrance, and we've got a guard walking around
Upstairs.
the upstairs.
Yeah. There is actually only, as far as you can see, there is actually only 3 guards, not 4.
Right. So right.
Yeah,
So the third one was the one who's out back
yes.
now.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
One in the back, one in the as far as you can see from and you've been observing the property for a long time between the two of you. By 10 o'clock, you're pretty certain there's just one in the backyard, one upstairs in the exhibit area, and one in the front foyer.
Okay. Well, when the time comes, Lex comes back. We'll head back to the hotel.
Okay.
So if we paid off the one in the back, we could probably bypass the one who's walking around the galleries if we're quiet. Can we get up to the... Actually, would we even need to go through the foyer? Is the window to the office where the safe is that accessible from the yard?
You
Yeah, I
think
mean, you remember looking out through the window and seeing a big brick wall. So it depends. It depends. The answer to your question is it depends whether the yard is just the yard at the back, or whether there's any bits down the side. If you understand what I mean, because the wall goes around the whole building. I think that I'm going to be. You spent quite a long time looking at the building and you've been in and out a couple of times. Lex has looked through the gate as well. Yeah, I think you realise you probably could go down the side of the building between the high wall and the actual building itself and look through the window if you had access to the yard.
Right, but we'd still have to. It's on the first floor, so we still need to get to it.
What's on the first floor?
The office, or is it on the ground floor? The office.
Yeah, the office on the ground floor. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, in which case, we just need to pay off the guard who's who's patrolling the back
You
to
don't
go
forget
make
all the windows are locked and shuttered though.
Yeah, but we'd have to break it. But that would give us the time to get in through those windows. But thereby, my point being, we only need to avoid or deal with one security guard.
Correct.
So the question is, we try and pay him off, but there's always a risk that he's a cultist himself, given that he's dealing with the truck.
There's always a risk.
There's always a risk. So we could potentially just incapacitate him. It's not great, but without going to hurt him, just knock him out or tie him up. Right, let's head back and fill everybody in with what we've learned.
Okay, you head back through the foggy, dark streets of London town to the bright lights of Brown's Hotel, and after a stiff brandy, you're feeling a lot better about the evening. I think I have a feeling that Jacob might have had more than one stiff brandy by the time you got back.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you guys going to be in the room, or are you going to be in the bar?
In the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you arrive back at Brown's Hotel.
Evening, chaps. How was the artist? Did you learn
Style.
anything?
Disturbing.
Familiar.
He's a shadow of a man. He's thin to the point of fragility, sallow, pale, thin. Doesn't look well at all. And we saw the most disturbing pictures. Told us that his inspiration comes from visions he gets while he's sleeping. And some of the pictures, well, they bore some disturbing similarities to some of the cult-related activities that we've seen. I mean, there was what was the second painting, Stanton? The Dark Pharaoh.
The Dark Pharaoh, indeed. Very familiar scene as to the writings I read in the Dark.
And that towering, the Black Mountain, that godlike creature, was that put me in mind of the tattoo on
yes,
on his what's his name's chest, Larkin's chest, with that tentacle for a head. And those cultists were definitely African cultists with the bloody tongue motif on their headdresses.
So we think he's definitely connected in some way to what we're investigating. It's not purely coincidental. Or
no, some of these pictures are just far too similar to the that they depict the very cultist activity that we've come into contact with. He was decidedly tight-lipped about his influences, other than the visions point.
Tight-lipped in what way, though? Scared or
Stanton?
defensive?
Stanton, I don't know if you noticed. Well, Lex Douglas, his mother invited us in. She was a woman in her 70s who, well, superficially seemed to be rather forgetful, constantly asking us whether we'd had tea or not. But I don't know, Stanton, if you noticed that while we were upstairs, at one point, Shipley looked at his mother nervously, almost fearfully. His composure slipped before he regained it, and then his mother, I think, after asking us for tea for the 50th time, left the room. But she only went a few steps down on the stairs. I could hear that she hadn't gone down the full way. I strongly suspect that batty old
Relationship.
woman was an act, and there's more to it in terms of the relationship between the two of them. I think
she has some kind of hold over him.
I had the distinct feeling that she was certainly monitoring him, which I suppose would fit with her, worried mother hen act. But I don't know. I had this nagging feeling that there's more to her than meets the eye. But other than the pictures, which were deeply disturbing, I don't think we really learned anything of any huge import or use.
What about the house itself then?
It was rather shabby. There were heaters absolutely everywhere downstairs. It was oppressively hot, and this awful body odor smell, particularly downstairs.
Which would be understandable if it was very hot.
Yeah, his attic studio was mercifully cooler, but one of the most unnerving places I think I've been. There was something wrong about it, and I also noticed as an artist, he'd painted the skylight black and was working underneath it. So he was working without natural light, which is very unusual for any artist.
Did he sleep in that room, or was that his bedroom as well, or was that just purely his studio?
There was no bed in there.
There was no bed in there. So he was sleeping downstairs as well. So it's possible to assume that the heat is for both of them rather than just for the mother.
Yeah, it did. It was a very strange place to be in. The relationship between mother and son was odd, to say the least. I wasn't sure of myself if she was putting on the dodgy old lady act.
And Shipley's last visitor before us was a very prominent occultist, that Mr. Algernon Blackwood, an associate of Aleister Crowley, who we think probably bought one of the paintings.
Yes, he exited shortly after we arrived. Shipley did offer to sell us all these paintings, and I am wondering if it would be useful for us to buy some so we can study them in more detail and perhaps learn some of the secrets they hold with those further on investigations.
So is he a cultist or a dupe or somebody that has fallen under the spell of cultists, or is he just plain mad because he's seen something and then it's created a connection that he can't control?
And of course, more than one thing could be true.
There is that.
He seemed more victim to me. He's obviously troubled, and one can hardly blame him from the subject matter of the paintings and the visions he must have.
The Herald, that final painting, remember, Jacob, with the dark stone obelisk and the Egyptian hieroglyphics and the sacrifices. The woman priest who was leading, she looked strangely familiar. I don't think it was Shafiq or Elisha.
Well, the description was Cleopatra-like, I seem to remember you saying. And if that's the case, that is the impression that we got from Tara Shafik. Without looking at it more closely, it would be unfortunate if it turned out that she has a more nefarious part to play in this than the future accomplice that she portrayed herself as when we spoke.
Let's just remember our New York creed: trust the four of us and no one else.
Yes.
Don't get distracted by the smoky eye, Stanton.
Yes.
He was particularly security conscious as well. There was a locked closet in his attic, and
yes, indeed,
I'm sure he locked his attic door for the brief time between leaving it and coming downstairs to and then bringing us back up to the attic.
But no
Ooh.
idea what was in. Was it a cupboard? Was it, or a doorway to another room?
Looked more like a doorway to another room, but there was a very prominent heavy padlock on it.
Yeah, sorry, I probably didn't
Mm.
describe that very well. You would have known from the description it was just going to be a cupboard.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. It was definitely a cupboard because of how it was positioned.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's annoying because now we want to know what's in there.
Well, nobody heavily padlocks a cupboard in your own room
No,
without having
and
something to hide.
And
you
and
said
locks the room, which is the only access to the locked cupboard.
that's what I was going to ask Jacob. He left it for a few minutes, but locked it behind himself.
Yes.
Hmm.
Is that to protect what's in there from
I mean,
outsiders or from his mother?
it could just be a little bit paranoid. They're very expensive paintings. So,
Well, it
could
would
just
fit.
security conscious.
He's a troubled, unwell man.
Mm. Maybe he has another collection in there that he doesn't want his mother to find.
Oh dear.
The skylight was open, so in the daytime he wants darkness, and at the night, during the evening and the night, he wants the fresh air.
Well, we don't know whether
Mm.
he wanted that. It was open during the day as well, though, wasn't it? So maybe he just needs the fresh air all the time because it's so stiflingly hot everywhere else. Right. So to summarise, then definitely full on cultist influence, especially the kind of genuine cultist activity that we've experienced previously. So this is no charlatan. This is no great artist. This is somebody that's directly under the influence of the unknown or the unknowable. We don't know whether he is victim or perpetrator, but we certainly don't trust the mother because she just comes across as not as simple and homespun as she's attempting to appear. What do we do about it, if anything? Do we care?
There's no obvious connection with the cults other than the artwork and the visions that have inspired the artwork. In terms of the people involved, Ripley doesn't seem to move in any of the same circles as any of the Blue Pyramid or the Penhew Foundation lot. But apart from this Cotting man, he seems to be the sort of the pivotal point where Shipley went from a fairly mediocre artist to changing his the quality of his work dramatically and the nature of his work dramatically. I mean, he sees himself as a conduit to another world. Has he had a brush with the arcane that's
Well,
somehow
something.
opened something?
Well, something that if Cotting introduced him to the occult and he's now creating art which has a direct impact on its viewers, that they are disturbing to the level of potentially affecting people's sanity. Is it possible that it is part of an active plan to corrupt the purchasers of these paintings and leave them more open to being drawn into true cultism as opposed to the dilettante, fanciful, trendy spiritualism that is of the fashion at the moment.
Perhaps. I think what intrigues me is there's no obvious sort of intersection between the people in Shipley's world and the people in the Blue Pyramid or the Penhew Foundation, and yet there's a connection in terms of the subject matter of his pictures.
Yeah, but that would suggest that there are more people active than we are aware of. We're just missing. I mean, there is obviously a connection there because the subject matter is clearly connected. Highly unlikely.
Is that connection Cotting?
Yes, potentially. He's the only connection that we've got. He would seem to be the potential connection point, but maybe Cotting's in touch with another person who's in touch with another person who's in touch with the Penhew Foundation. That's a connection we don't know, but we know that they are at least tangentially connected because the subject matter is identical, and the chances of them stumbling across such obscure subject matter in such close proximity to each other at this time, just too remote to be plausible.
I think Shipley's been exposed to something unworldly or supernatural, and I just wonder where and how that's happened.
Well, it's going to be.
I'm curious as to why as well.
Well, as I
What-
said, my theory is that the paintings are being used to increase influence on high society people who are already interested in spiritualism.
Perhaps, yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to infect people, that would be a good way to do it. I use the term infect advisedly. I can't think of a better way of describing how you would brainwash, draw somebody into the occult, leave them more susceptible and open to it. But you get my point.
Yeah. So what next? I think we need to investigate Cotting. And are we going to visit the Penhew Foundation?
Well, as far as the Penhew Foundation goes, I think we have a potential in which would be through the rear gates. We could either subdue the guard or try to pay him off. The advantage to subduing him is that it doesn't leave us open to the risk that he himself is a cultist who could inform on us, or even somebody who's very honest and who decides to inform on us to the police.
And did you say that Penhew's office is accessed via a ground floor window around the side of the property?
Yes.
And how high is the wall that we'd need to get over to get there?
Well, you'd only have to get. You could if you could get through into the
We go through
yard.
the gate, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to unlock the gate.
But could you?
Yeah,
could
the
you?
wall.
Could you get over the wall?
Yeah, I'm just going to
without having to go through the yard.
I mean, down the side.
Yeah.
But there's a security guard in the yard, so the chances of him not hearing us or seeing us is pretty remote.
I'm just going to check how high the wall.
I mean, we could wait till he goes in for his tea break, pick the lock, get in through the gate, be hiding round the side when he comes out after his tea break, subdue him, tie him up, then break in, and then be gone. And then he'll be found either later in the evening by another guard or in the morning at worst.
Yeah.
It could work.
It's 12 foot high, the wall.
Yeah, we're not going to get over that.
Well,
so did that work as a plan?
I think so.
All right, well, that's our plan then for tomorrow night. What do we do about the truck? We should, if we're going to follow the truck, we should probably, assuming that they're going to do another drop off and they've got something else that they're transporting around, we would need to do that before we break into the Foundation, because obviously security and their plans will completely change once they discover that they've been broken into.
yes, absolutely. And I mean, we also need to know how often. Well, we really need to know where is it going.
Yeah, so we need to keep
the ultimate thing. But how often? Will it be there again tomorrow?
Yeah, next week. We just don't know. So we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to monitor it every night with a car, and then if the lorry turns up again, we then follow the lorry.
To this place in Essex.
Well, no, we don't know that they're going to the place in Essex, because we know they're going there every new moon, but it wasn't a new moon tonight. So they're using the lorry for transporting other things as well. So where are they going? They might be going to the same place, or they might be going somewhere different. I think maybe we should take 2 cars, but that might be even more obvious. I don't know.
Well, if we alternate which car remains closest to the truck, it does break it up a little and make it more difficult for the occupants of the truck to notice the same car constantly.
That was my thinking. So should we do that? I think that should be our priority, is to follow the lorry, because we can't break into the Penhew Foundation until after we've identified that, because, for the reasons that we've already identified. So that's that. What do we do about the... So go on.
Well, perhaps tomorrow we can... We've not... Well, we tried to find a phone listing for Arthur Cotting, which gave a Shoreditch address but no phone number. But other than that, we know nothing about him, apart from that he seems to be the pivotal point in Shipley's life, where he went from mediocre artist to painting the current works.
Right. So
we try and find a little bit more about him.
Shipley said he doesn't speak to him anymore.
No. How true that is, I don't know, but
Okay, of course, we could lie to you.
Well, let's. Okay, tomorrow's priority is finding out all we can about Cotting, and then depending on that, revisiting Shipley.
yeah. Have we
Is
got anything
Cotting
else?
inhabiting the body of Shipley's mother?
Sorry.
He's
That's a
just
little,
got-
that's a little out there,
I know.
Stanton.
I know. It's. I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
all the possibilities these paintings have.
You were more disturbed by these paintings than I thought.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I know you've got a.
Cotting-
We know from Peru that you've got a problem with old women.
Don't trust them. But
Don't go looking for fights.
well, yeah. Cotting was the lever that changed Shipley, and suddenly he's not in his life. Surely he would be if he is that important.
Unless he's deliberately extricated himself because his work's done.
Hmm.
Mm. I think there's a way that I think Shipley probably believes his thoughts that these images come to him in a vision. But how those visions are engineered could be through some sort of seance or hypnotism, some drug-fueled link to the cult that he has been touched
Some
by.
ritual
I'm
that's
Yeah.
opened a conduit between him and something else.
All right, I'm just going back to what you said. You say that you thought that Cotting is now inhabiting the body of the mother.
Something
that
like that, quite possibly, maybe.
Well, I
Has-
mean, if we
has possessed her with some sort
we
of
think
spell.
back about possession and what happened in Peru.
Hmm.
I mean,
We know
I wish it was a stupid, crazy suggestion. But maybe.
well, yeah, we know that Larkin was possessed.
Yeah.
So theoretically, thing could have been possessed, and then he's no longer on the scene because his body was used up, and it's passed on to the mother, who is holding sway over Shipley.
Mm.
Or maybe he's not around anymore because it's Shipley that's possessed in the same way that
Yeah.
Larkin was. But I mean, that
Mm.
would follow. I mean, Larkin was very emaciated himself, wasn't he? Which he blamed on malaria, and Shipley's emaciated. It's not as bizarre a theory.
It's becoming stronger the more we think about it.
It is.
Untalented artists suddenly
Becomes talented.
becomes
Where did he get that talent from?
a world beater.
So he's now talented because there's something inside him that's talented.
Yes, the talent within him in
Yeah.
a horrific way.
Certainly, he's not only has his style changed or his influence changed, but his ability has changed from what we heard, which is would fit with possession. He's got the talent of someone else.
Well, so we now think that the mother is all right. It's Shipley that's possessed.
Well, the mother's
still
still
not-
controlling, isn't she?
Yeah.
Let's not go as far as saying she's all right.
All right, so that maybe they're both possessed. Maybe he's the subordinate demon, and she's the archdemon.
The BO smell in the house, was that reminiscent of, because Larkin had a particularly pungent odour, was it reminiscent of that or different?
No, Larkin's was like more of a rotten meat smell. This was a
Stale sweat.
stale sweat, but you have a feeling that you've kind of smelt it before. Can you both make knowledge rolls, please? Both of you that were there.
Not in the Juju house.
No, now you think.
Not is that's educate. Yeah.
No roll, yeah.
Yeah. That's an extreme success.
Yeah, standard success.
Okay, Jacob, casting your mind back now.
I've figured it. It's bizarre, but it's exactly like the reptile house at New York Zoo. It's uncanny. I'm sure it's the same smell.
Reptile house.
The reptile house.
They're ancient science, then.
Reptiles, they are cold-blooded, and their house has to be kept hot.
Yes. Yeah. Should have thought of that.
Right. So we're now saying that they're not possessed. They're reptiles.
She is a.
Could we go with possessed by reptiles?
She's a lizard in
Human skin.
skin.
Can you be possessed by a reptile, or is this saying that they're now wearing reptiles wearing human bodysuits?
Yes.
I don't know anything anymore.
Okay, this conversation kind of.
Well, we know there's something not right. That's where we're.
It's a big leap from there's something not right to their lizards wearing human bodysuits. Although I am slightly concerned that all the evidence fits that hypothesis.
Yeah. When you rule out the possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
we
that
must.
remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
We mustn't have these discussions after quite so much whiskey in future.
Stick to brandy next time.
Well, it does.
So the paintings then.
It's a very talented lizard.
Who, the mother or the son?
The son. Well, are we saying that the mother's a lizard and he's not?
Yeah, I think
He's just possessed.
she's the lizard, and he's.
Well, it was the
just
part of
possessed.
it was the part of the house that she frequents the most
Yes,
that was
yeah.
overheated, and the part that he spends all his time in was,
Yeah.
if anything,
It's
a little
got-
bit cold.
And he's got the window open. So
Mm.
saying that he's either possessed or
He's
under the
possessed
control of the lizard mum.
I think he knows. Well, or
So he knows, and
suspects.
that's why
He
he's
was
scared of her.
He was afraid of her, and I wonder if he keeps his room cold to keep her away.
Theory,
Keeps it locked to keep her out.
Mm.
but he's working for her because he has no choice.
Perhaps unwillingly. He did seem wary of her, but perhaps to the extent of being afraid of her. Or perhaps I
I'm
shouldn't
slightly,
read much into the odd
I'm slightly concerned that we're going down a rabbit hole here because we've extrapolated some evidence into. Admittedly, it's a really, really well thought out theory, but too fantastical. I know that's a ridiculous thing to say, given that we just recently fought a ghostly tentacle thing in the fog.
Raise it with me again at breakfast when I've not had quite so many whiskies.
Too soon, Jake.
I don't think the problem is that it's too fantastical. The problem is, so what? What are we going to do about it?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Because we go back there. If we're right, we have to rescue him and kill her. If we're wrong, we've just murdered someone's mum.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, that's me off to bed. I'm with Jacob. Clean heads in the morning. Murdered someone's mum is definitely the sentence where it's time to knock it on the head.
Okay, can we discuss the painting?
okay. Right, let's move on then.
Yeah, their potential sale.
Always
I
about
think-
the money, Stan.
Well, they are obviously very expensive. What was the exchange rate? Dollars to pounds?
Are you suggesting that this is the way for cultists to make money to keep their operations going?
Well, it would certainly help. But I'm wondering.
Expensive business, isn't it?
Yes, I'm wondering if purchasing one or two of these paintings would assist us studying them further. Well, the Dark Pharaoh.
No, that's true. But then equally, rescuing Shipley and killing Lizard Mum gives us access to all the paintings without having to pay for them.
Well, yes, it does. But if we don't have to go down that route, possibility of purchasing them may.
To what end, though?
I like the way that you just said a minute ago. Sorry, I have to interrupt. But I like the way you just said that that you were going down a rabbit hole, and now Lizard Mum has become factual.
Or just running with it.
100% it's Lizard Mum, and we are deciding where to shoot her.
No, we don't need to shoot her. We just turn the heating off. You'll get all sleepy.
Open the
Get all
windows.
sleepy.
Yeah.
Open the windows and we're sorted.
Wait for her to fall out of a tree. And we'll just pick her up and on we go. Let's give her to bed and
I'm sorry
sort
to dig
cards
deeper
about
into, I'm sorry to dig deeper into this rabbit hole, but the first painting we saw depicted a reptilian humanoid creature.
Ancient science, yes. In an alchemist lab in the cellar of their house, probably. Dissecting something which could well be a person.
I know nothing of occultist lizard creatures. Is this something that you've research in the past? Is it something that you were aware of? Is this common cultist knowledge or the more secret cultist knowledge that we seem to be stumbling into? Is it something that you've read about? Is it something that's in regular scholarly text?
No, no, I don't think so.
Is it something you've come across before, Stanton?
General occult? No. And in the tomes that I read, I haven't seen any reference to that.
But
and
a big
there's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah, and what I was going to say was, given that we've
well-
just hypothesized the whole thing about lizard people, and then you've just reminded us that there was a lizard person in the painting, which had completely passed me by.
Hmm.
It's not
Not a
a rabbit hole
coincidence.
anymore, is it? It's that's yeah.
And
It's
Did we
less
reach
than
that?
coincidence.
Reach that?
at least
Go on.
2 of the paintings depict things that we have come across.
So it's reasonable to assume that all the things that he's painting exist, and one of those is a humanoid lizard, which fits everything that. Well, the only thing it fits is the heat. You might just be cold-blooded in the sort of old person sense as opposed to the reptile sense. But it does make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, of course, the smell. All right, she's a lizard mum. She's a lizard mum.
So 3 of the other paintings definitely contain things that we recognise from our recent investigation. So non-standard occult. So the Dark Pharaoh, certainly. The Black Mountain in Africa with the headpieces, the bloody tongue, definitely. And then the final one, the Herald, the Egyptian hieroglyphic obelisk, but with the cultists and the sect, this strangely familiar woman priest and the inverted ankh.
Oh, the inverted ankh, which is on the dagger that I own and on the book.
So the only thing that is not unusual was the goat.
No, goats definitely exist.
Yeah, the woodland scene with the men and women cavorting around a fire and a goat-headed devil, I guess. Instruction. That's pretty standard.
That's good. Yeah, that's going to be in Essex.
Or maybe a little further north. Norfolk, certainly.
Yeah.
Although I do have my suspicions about some surrounding villages in Wiltshire.
I know we said we were going to put a pin in it for tomorrow, but I don't think there's any value in purchasing any of those paintings. I don't think, but I do. Sorry, go on.
So my thought possibly could have been the Dark Pharaoh. Could we use that as bait for Gavigan? He says it doesn't exist, and we show.
Well, here's a painting of something that doesn't exist, and he goes, it still doesn't exist.
Yeah. Although he doesn't know about the book. And then the Herald. Do we purchase that? And if it is indeed Sarah Shafiq that's in the painting,
but I return you to my previous point that if we solve the issue of Shipley and his mother, then we have access to all those paintings without having to buy them. So we don't gain anything by buying them. All we're doing is losing a lot of money, and that potentially we won't get back. That will get passed on if the theory is correct that they're using the money to fund cultist activities. We've just given them a whole load of money to further their cause.
Yeah, we don't really want to do that, do we?
No. So I would suggest that we deal with them. Then we get the paintings, and then you can examine the paintings to your heart's desire to see whether there's anything in there that we could use as leverage on those that remain,
or even further information for our investigations.
Yeah, I know, absolutely, and I mean they may, if they are scenes of true events and true places. I think those might be some places that we might end up in. So if we don't carry those around, maybe we should take photographs of them and take the photographs with us. What do we do about Shipley and his mum then? Are we? Sorry.
Go on. I'm not sure how much further investigation we can make. We have a theory.
Well, no, I'm not suggesting that.
Do we test it?
Do we? Yes. Have we got a strong enough theory that we are willing to act on it? Do we go back there and
Offer Mrs.
Force.
Shipley a live mouse.
yeah, do we try and force a point? Do we say we know you're a mad lizard creature, and see what her reaction is? She might laugh it off, or she might rip our faces off.
She might lick her lips with her forked tongue.
Well, yeah. Or we could go in there and start a conversation with her again and say, "It's very hot in here. Would you mind if we opened the door?" And see what her reaction is. Does she ever go out? If she's given that it's the time of year,
I
she
doubt
may not
will.
ever. She won't, but maybe Shipley does. So maybe we try and we watch until Shipley leaves, and then we speak to him. And
Weren't we
I
fairly
mean-
confident it was emptied when we went round the first time?
No,
Mm.
I think
well-
I think we'll be waiting a long time for him to leave. By all accounts, he's become a recluse. If he is under the thrall of his mother or whoever his mother is, then
Yeah.
I
He never
imagine
goes out. He has no
No.
friends. Poor boy.
sits in his room all night playing games.
It's not a healthy life for any
It's
gentleman.
not. It's not.
There was this.
I'm open to suggestions. How do we force the point? What are people comfortable with doing to force the point?
I'm keen for us to get our hands on the paintings before they leave the house. So in classic pressure sales techniques, Shipley was at pains to say, "Well, I don't know how long these will be around. If you want to buy them, buy them. Buy them now." And obviously, if he has clients such as Mr. Blackwood, the chances of them leaving sooner rather than later is high.
Right.
we'd have to
So,
we'd have
we'd
to
have to go
provoke
quickly.
Shipley's mother to the extent that she reveals herself, if indeed our theories are correct. Because at the moment she's just playing the batty old woman act, and as long as she carries on doing that, we're not going to get anywhere. We'd have to provoke her into
Revealing herself.
revealing
How do we do that?
and probably attacking us.
Right. So we need to be prepared for that. But how do we provoke her in the first place?
Steal a couple of monkeys from London Zoo.
Could we tell her that we think she's abusing Shipley and that we're going to take Shipley away?
We could say that he is that he's not in a fit state, and we believe that he should be looked at by a psychiatrist, and that we're going to speak to the police, say that we believe he's at risk.
If he is truly afraid of her and thinks that we can protect him against her, then he might be willing to come with us.
Well, we
Would
could
that
try
be-
that, and we'll see how that plays out.
I think whatever we do, we've got to provoke her until she shows her hand, but it's a question of how to do it. And if Shipley is, if she is keeping him and in her thrall, then threatening to take that away may do it.
I think that's our best. I think that's our best bet, because it's something that the worst that can happen is that we offend her and she kicks us out. If we're completely wrong, best that can happen is that she reveals her form and attacks us, and then we've resolved that situation.
I am worried that this is a 6 whiskey plan.
The best plans. The best plans.
It's not as good as that, Jacob.
It seems it, Lex, after 6.
Okay, so is the 6 whiskey plan sufficiently well advanced that you're happy to go to bed with that plan in mind, or are you actually going to go and try and enact the 6 whiskey plan now?
Probably not a good idea to enact a 6 whiskey plan whilst under the influence of 6 whiskies.
No.
It's an interesting variation on the beer goggles.
Okay.
Does everybody agree that that is our best plan? And if we are going to do that, let's make sure we're not stood close to her when she reveals her form.
So the plan is to head there, tomorrow?
Yep, tomorrow morning. Has everybody agreed?
Under the ruse that we're
we're coming back. We're coming.
Excited to be part of this plan. I love this plan.
It
Because
has Lex written all over it, this plan.
It
basically.
does.
It does.
In fact, he might even put his helmet and pads on and take his stick with him.
This is the kind of plan we only come up with because of how much time we spent at Juju House, not getting anywhere.
Yeah,
Mm.
pretty much.
Yeah.
We're
It's,
definitely going to get somewhere.
yeah, in prison.
It might be a prison cell, but we're definitely going to get somewhere.
Okay, yeah, we've hit the extreme violence stage of the investigation. Well, hopefully there won't be extreme violence. Hopefully we're wrong. I suspect we're not. And if there is extreme violence, it's against a lizard. So that's fine.
That's going to be your excuse to the police.
Yeah. Was that right? Well, that's fine then.
Could
That's
we
fine.
spend
Carry on.
Could we do this tomorrow afternoon and spend the morning trying to find out
Sleeping
a
it
little bit
off.
more about Cotting? I wonder if Cotting's disappeared. In other words, Cotting and Bertha are one and the same.
Well, exactly. But then we'll find that out once we've unmasked her. If we unmask her and Cotting's underneath, not a lizard.
Mm.
Yes. And
Well, that
he
was my
probably
original
would have
plan.
got away with it without our damn kids.
Yes.
You're right, Stanton. This was your original.
It was my
theory.
original thought, which is probably the most sane of all the suggestions.
Funny,
You
it seemed
just need-
insane at the time, but
Yeah.
now you're quite
Yeah.
right. It seems quite sane comparatively.
When you failed your spot hidden at the end, and when you left the house, you failed to see the jeans and trainers underneath the underneath the.
Underneath a
Yes.
dress. Yeah.
No, seriously though. So okay, yeah. What are you? So you're not going to do anything in the morning then? You're going to, or what?
I think we just go. I just think we're direct action at this point, and we go and under the ruse of going to purchase one of the paintings, and myself and Lex, I can go as a potential buyer that Jacob has identified, and Lex is my security, and we've come to view some paintings because we're looking to potentially buy several of them. And then once we're in and talking, we just generally rile her up in the best way that we can and see what happens.
Okay, well, as you sit in Brown's bar, you can hear Big Ben outside striking 12 o'clock.
Good night's sleep, I think, gentlemen.
Time to turn in.
Okay.
A hectic day, an exciting day tomorrow.
Indeed. Okay, so you all head off to bed with your heads full of strange 7 whiskey type thoughts. Okay, cool. Good place to stop then. I'm not going to let you revisit that plan next session. You have to enact it.
I want to. I love that. That's the best plan we've ever come up with.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it.
I'd love to listen to that, see where the conversation started and where it finished. That was an absolutely awesome
Well,
conversation.
the best thing about it is Stanton came up with a theory that to me
It was
seemed
ridiculous.
completely out there.
Yeah.
When we revisited it at the end of the conversation, it seemed quite modest.
It wasn't out there enough. How dare you rein yourself in?
We redefined out there during the course of the conversation.
And that's a wrap for 2024 for the Steady Rolling Men. We're going to take a little break, and we hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year. We'll be back on Thursday the 9th of January to carry out that 6 whiskey plan. Please join us for what's almost certainly going to be a massive disaster. Good night, good luck, Merry Christmas to you all, and see you on the 9th of January.